treated as the most impure, higher castes would even bathe if a Dalit shadow had touched them.
If the shadow touched them, you're taking a bath? Damn, my bad, bro. Even my shadow? No, that is advanced racism. You're racist against shadows. Word on the street is that Asians are actually the most racist people there is, and Asians actually have the most offensive or worse racism that exists as well, which is gonna be hard to top the older white racism, because I'm not gonna lie, creating slavery already takes the cake as the #1 spot. But maybe this video is more about like casual racism in today's day. But today we're gonna be checking out Asian racism is built different than your average racism.
Hi, I'm just a fat little Asian man.
Yo.
And as a fat little Asian man, you can bet I've had my fair share of racism around the world.
When did they even do this, bro? Is this freaking Daffy Duck? Or is it Donald? No, it's Donald. It's Daffy. I don't know. One of them, bro. Yo, why he low-key clean though?
But I've gotta say, white people racism is probably the most boring and bland. Kinda like their seasoning. I mean, it's always either the Asian eyes or can you speak the English please?
Yeah, or it's like martial arts, can't drive. They have a little bit more variety than that.
So uncreative. I think the only time somebody even tried was this one time during my stay in Australia.
Really?
I was at a supermarket getting some tasty ramen noodles when the cashier looked at the ramen and looked at me, then said, "Of course."
Makes sense. It looks about right. Like he calculated the yeah.
Noodles. Honestly, I couldn't even be mad. It was pretty funny, and I'd give it a nice 7.2 out of 10. Maybe it's because I'm used to Asian racism, where it's not enough to just insult your race, they have to insult your ancestors too.
Really?
I've seen so many videos where people act surprised that there's racism in countries like Korea and Japan. Asia is not some sort of exotic utopia where racism doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's arguably...
I'm not gonna lie, bro. In East Asia specifically, bro, if you're any type of darkness of anything, bro, you're gonna get... You don't suntan, you bleach it, like, yeah, no.
Racism here is on a different level. We Asians can be racist to people who look identical. Don't believe me? East Asians all hate each other.
That's true.
Indians and Pakistanis are mortal enemies. Thais look down on Burmese. Vietnamese and Cambodians dislike each other.
This is all just a bunch of people in the same group too, bro. That's crazy.
Of course, Asian racism might not be as systemic or historic like Western racism was, but I think in terms of racist encounters in everyday life, there's definitely more here.
Okay.
Why? Let's take a look together. Before we take a look at Asian racism, let's review a little bit about our classic Western racism first.
Yep, can't go wrong.
To really understand how Asian racism is different. In my understanding, Western racism can be divided into 3 ideas.
Okay.
Exploitation, pseudoscience, and institutions.
Okay.
Racism in the West wasn't always so complex. Honestly, aside from the sprinkles of anti-Semitism here and there, racism didn't really take off until the 16th century when Europe unlocked a new region called the Americas.
That's actually crazy how racism literally did not exist. Like the concept of race didn't exist. People were just people. There wasn't no white, black, Asian, like none of that. It was like freaking Spanish settlers who created race as a construct, right? It's hard to imagine a world where racism did not exist though. Like back then, were we really saying all the nations were united in freaking harmony like the Avatar's goal or something, and then all of a sudden one day the freaking Fire Nation attacked? Yo, this is the Fire Nation. Brief intermission. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 40,000 subscribers. Thank you very much.
And everybody scrambled to take over the resources there. One issue, they needed workers for huge plantations and mines.
Oh yeah.
As Native Americans died in the millions due to newfound diseases brought by Europeans. Of course, we already know that Africans were sold as slaves.
Yep.
But at first, it was less to do about race and more about convenience. You couldn't send white locals because rich elites needed them to work in existing farms and jobs.
Okay.
Going to Asia or the Middle East was out of the question.
Why?
As the Ottoman Empire in its peak acted as the roadblock.
Oh.
On the other hand, African kingdoms conveniently already had existing slave trade routes with European kingdoms, making it easier to exploit.
So this was literally the most convenient source of free labor. Going to Africa because there was already connections and ties. I actually didn't even know that. Okay, got it.
And ship out to the Americas. Plantations and mines were quickly filled up with slaves, and they were dehumanized to maximize profits.
Yeah.
To justify the horrible fate they imposed on the millions of people, pseudoscience was used to paint black people as inherently inferior and whites as superior.
Yeah, goofy.
Over time, This idea that white people were superior to other races would be embedded in laws and policies.
That's where the white supremacy came from, bro. Whites only versus colored fountains. Whites only bathroom. You can only sit in this part of the bus. It all stems back from trying to justify slavery.
I mean, imagine living during those times. Through education, racism would be taught like it was fact. Then, throughout life, you would see people of color in very low status jobs or slavery, which to you would become evidence, further reinforcing that education you had, not knowing that policies like segregation had systematically blocked people of color from opportunities.
It's crazy because back then they probably believed that there was a gene that held black people back and made black people just dumb. Like they believed that, I don't know, black people were born without like the right amount of chromosomes and the right amount of education in their brains or the right amount of IQ. Like, no, bro, we're not inherently stupid. It's just a lack of education, the lack of access to proper infrastructure.
Perceptions like this that justify discrimination, enlarging inside institutions and policies for centuries. Wow, what a wonderful, positive topic to really bring out our hopes for humanity as a whole, right?
Yeah.
How does Asia put a spin on this Western classic?
That's what I'm wondering.
Now, if you look at Asia, it's a pretty big place, with many, many different cultures and histories.
Asia is much bigger than Europe, right? Europe is pretty small, I want to say, right? Europe might be the smallest continent. Am I tripping?
What I can give you are general ideas that make up racism in Asia today by taking a look at these guys, China and India. Now, for some of you, it might be difficult to believe, but it is undeniable that Chinese and Indian culture has been a huge influence to almost every country in Asia, culturally and politically.
I feel like especially China, like a lot of times, even, bro, I'm half Japanese, a lot of things from Japan, they came straight from China, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I heard ramen actually isn't even Japanese, it came from something in China and then it kind of got like gentrified or something over time. I'm not here to tell you that ramen isn't Japanese food. Like, for example, this is what I think of. When I think of ramen, I think of Japanese food, so therefore it's Japanese low-key by now. The same way when you think of burgers, you think of American food. Or you think of hot dogs, you think of American food. It's not German food no more, even though it was originated in Germany. He's right.
These guys were building civilizations when everyone else were just hunter-gatherers, using the large and resource-rich geography to create cities where politics, technology, and culture advanced.
Yeah.
Cities quickly developed into centers of economic and cultural exchange,
Okay.
where goods, ideas,
They were playing Minecraft.
and innovations would be exported to the entirety of Asia. Through these
The Silk Road. Damn, I haven't heard of this since like freaking 6th grade of my history
ideas and
classes.
innovations, China and India not only influenced borders and kingdoms, but how people lived, cooked, worked, and most importantly, how they thought.
Okay. Asian sees rice. Brain activated. Wow. I'm not gonna lie, kind of accurate. I mean, you know what? Nowadays, this is when you see matcha or you see boba. Boom.
Chinese philosophies like Confucianism and Taoism, and Indian religions like Hinduism and Buddhism greatly influenced entire kingdoms,
Wait, Buddhism came from India?
becoming the basis of societies over centuries. The thing is, there's always two sides to influence. It's like how I can eat tasty Yangzhou fried rice, but also have to deal with blood pudding stew,
What?
both influenced by Chinese cuisine.
Oh.
Likewise, the long-lasting Chinese and Indian culture have shaped ethics, family values, and social harmony, but also prejudices and racism.
Okay.
Let's start by what I think has impacted the ways we view other cultures here in Asia. Chinese ethnosentrism. The word ethnocentrism refers to the belief that the people, customs, and traditions of your own race or country are better than those of other races or countries.
So this is kind of just like elitism, low-key, or in other words, Chinese supremacy, bro.
Therefore, Chinese ethnocentrism is the idea that Chinese culture is number one. Instead of about being race and biology, it's more about a hierarchy of cultures. You see, Chinese culture is closely related to Confucianism.
Okay.
In the Confucianist perspective, the world is full of hierarchies, like father and son, elder and youth, or king and servant.
Okay.
Social order is only achieved when these hierarchies and their mutual responsibilities are respected. The upper is tasked with guidance and bringing order, and the under should follow and give
So
respect.
it's kind of like a pyramid. So like there's order and need to go in a specific way. Okay, got it.
This is where Chinese ethnocentrism takes its roots. Their culture is superior to others, and they are destined to show them social order,
Okay.
but entitled to respect. Where's the evidence for all this? Well, it's right here in the name. Not this one, but this one.
What that mean?
This is 中国, which means
中国.
China in Chinese.
Okay.
中 here means middle, while guo here means country. Put them together and it means middle country.
So they're the middle
roughly
country.
translating to the
So aka China is mid. I'm kidding. China's not mid. China's amazing.
center of civilization. Yeah, they've been only doing it for around a short time of 3,000 years.
Okay.
The first recorded instance of the word Zhongguo dates to around 1038 BC.
So they've been ego and aura farming since 1038 BC.
The thing is, for most of history, China did have everything. The next technological innovations like gunpowder or printing, in China.
Yeah.
The next new food dish, art, and architecture.
Dongpo.
There's tall and fancy buildings. Everyone's actually wearing clothes.
Okay.
They eat tasty rice and cooked meat instead of raw fish and plants. Of course you'd want it. The second problem was, China didn't just let anybody have a piece of their sweet trade. You needed to be recognized as civilized first. China considered all cultures not aligned with their Confucianist beliefs to be inferior.
So if you're not from China, you're not allowed to eat cooked meat and their meals? I'm confused.
This was reflected in the Chinese language, with more than 20 different characters.
Barbarian, savage barbarian, just because I eat freaking raw fish and plants? Come on, man, we just have different diets.
For the word savage or barbarian. Over time, many countries developed their own little versions of Chinese-style ethnocentrism,
Okay.
where they would adapt hierarchical views and barbarian labels of their own. Here are some examples. Vietnam viewed neighboring groups like Khmer and Champas as backward kingdoms.
Really?
Japan also viewed its Shinto traditions as unique and superior than other Asians.
I'm pretty sure, bro, if I remember correctly, Japan and Korea have a long time beef that stems back longer than freaking anime, I'll tell you that.
And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Ethnocentrism may not be as straightly defined as racism in the biological sense, but it has shaped perceptions for all.
I guess it's ethnicity-ism, right? Because you're same race, so you can't really be a racist in that case.
Now, if Chinese ethnocentrism influenced how we view other cultures through prejudice and hierarchies, there's another concept that influenced the perspectives on how people are treated, especially those who are perceived as lower. The Indian caste system is a class division about as old as Chinese ethnocentrism,
Okay.
give or take a few hundred years. Basically, it separated society into four main groups like this, based on type of occupation and status. Initially, it was flexible, with opportunities to move between classes based on merit and skills. However, as society became more complex, society was divided into hundreds of rigid subcastes called jatis,
Jotties.
focusing more on specific jobs, region, and birth. Over time, the caste dictated not only one's job, but also one's marriage prospects, food habits, and place in the social order.
Marriage prospect. If I'm an Indian person living during the caste system's glory days, you're not choosing who I marry, bro. I'm picking that myself, okay? And if not, I'm crashing out. I don't care.
A caste wasn't just a social identity, but also a deeply entrenched system of religious purity based on the Hinduism worldview. If your caste was low, it was your fault. You lived a life collecting bad karma throughout your life cycles. And now you're going to be cleaning waste from toilets your entire life. Indians believe that in order to avoid
So you're condemned into doing that for the rest of your life?
you had to collect good karma. No, not by doing yoga and drinking smoothies, but by performing the duties of your own caste, and more importantly, by avoiding impurities like corpses, specific foods, and especially the lower caste. Probably the most famous is the Dalits, also referred to as the untouchables.
So this is the caste system. Priests, kings, rulers, merchants, farm workers, unskilled workers, and street sweeper, human, animal waste removers. So you can't link up with these dudes or else you're going to be banished to be chilling with them?
Existing beneath the caste structure. Treated as the most impure, higher castes would even bathe if a Dalit shadow had touched them.
If the shadow touched them, you're taking a bath? Damn, my bad, bro. Even my shadow? No, that is advanced racism. You're racist against shadows.
These people were forcibly moved into main living areas, with access denied to public spaces. Due to this, most Dalits ended up being debt-trapped, forcibly working for almost nothing for generations. Also, law enforcement has historically refused to investigate crimes against the Dalits, making them even more vulnerable to hate crimes and sexual exploitation.
Got it.
You kind of get the picture already, right?
Yeah.
The ideas of rebirth and karma in Hinduism were used to legitimize the mistreatment and dehumanization of the lower caste.
Got you.
They're suffering right now. They all deserved it. It's all because of their previous lives. don't expect help or change
Yo, that's
in
kind of
this.
messed up, bro. Like, if you don't believe in that, let's just say you don't believe in that, then what is, the justification of the said terrible punishment?
If they stay complacent and do their lowly jobs correctly, perhaps they could be reborn into a better caste. In this way, the mistreatment of others perceived as lower and their misfortune was closely linked with morality. There was no need for empathy, social justice, or intervention. It was natural for prejudice to become justice. The ideas of the Indian caste were spread to nearby countries in Southeast Asia, such as Indonesia, Cambodia, and Thailand.
Okay.
However, it was actually the spread of Buddhism that passed these ideas all the way across Asia. Buddhism expanded throughout the entirety of Asia over a few centuries by
Coming from
Buddhist
where?
monks who traveled with merchant caravans on the Silk Road. Buddhism itself actually rejects caste systems, with its version of karma and rebirth concentrating more on moral self-conduct. In order to break the cycle and create something powerful like Asian racism, you need something strong.
Like what?
Something really racist. Something really white.
Oh.
Of course, it's the OG itself, Western
The inventors, the OG creators of racism, bro. We gotta clap it up and thank it up for, the Westerners. Without y'all, we would not have oppression, bro.
colonialism. When the tea and bread people colonized parts of Asia, they needed an
The tea and bread people? Wow.
ideology that would justify their rule and exploitation over the massive Asian populations. For the European powers, though, they've already done it before, and they knew it would work. Yep, they introduced Western racism straight into Asia, but with some little
Damn, they just
tweaks.
injected it. I like this little imagery right here, because it makes sense.
Here's a general guide to how they pulled it off. First, the colonizers started by hijacking the existing traditional hierarchies.
Okay.
Instead of building their own hierarchies, they put themselves at the top of existing ones through military force and political manipulation.
That's messed up, bro. You automatically infiltrate the hierarchy, bro. You gotta start from the bottom and then make it all the way to the top. Started from the bottom now, yeah.
After that, they introduced the idea of the white man's burden.
Is this Uncle Sam carrying black people on his back? Carrying Native Americans on his back? What is... Uncle Sam didn't carry nothing. If anything, Uncle Sam was the one who was being carried.
The white man's burden was a form of white supremacy, where uncivilized locals needed the guidance of white people to become developed. It's a crazy form of gaslighting where they told the locals that colonizers were doing them a favor.
Damn.
Using these racist ideas, they radicalized the existing hierarchies by using the already existing divides within
Okay.
the people.
So they went to Indian people and were like, yo, you heard about them East Asians? Them East Asians were talking crazy. Then they went to the freaking East Asia. Yo, did you hear about the Indians? They said that y'all ramen not even good like that. They said the rice wasn't even good like that. They said y'all be eating too much. And then you create beef intentionally from the inside. That's how you divide and conquer, bro.
Certain castes or ethnicities were made to be middle managers for the colonizers and were rewarded for extorting and exploiting their own people. By doing so, the European powers made sure that the resentment from locals were redirected to these classes.
This is really like some inside scheming, bro. Like, they actually went crazy, like freaking planted information, did this whole operation, like, damn.
Resentment from locals were redirected to these classes. Finally, institutions in colonies were created solely to boost efficiency of exploitation. With so much work experience in their hands, the European colonizers embedded institutions with hierarchies, reshaping local systems with policies like segregation, and making one's social castes set in stone with class censuses. Then, those institutions were dominated with middle management classes,
Okay.
incentivizing extortion for personal gain. This process ensured that racism would be here to stay. Even after independence, countries inherited institutions still embedded with ideas of race, exploitation, and inequalities that still exist today.
Okay.
Inferiority was internalized inside colonies, with post-colonial ethnic tensions that fuels discrimination
So the freaking Europeans went in there, caused some problems, and then got out of
even
there.
to this day. But perhaps the most significant impact is that colonialism messed up existing standards for hierarchies.
Okay.
In culture or religion's place, the criteria for a higher rank was how developed or how Western any problem. Why people will look at Chinese. Why there's so much TV programs about how to imitate social try to build. It's why appearance is national growth, where the means justify the ends. It's why appearance is so important here in Asia.
Yeah.
Why countries try to build cities that show how modern they are. Why lookism is such a big social problem. Why people go on social media to try their best to imitate how rich and global they are. why there's so much TV programs about how amazing Asian culture is for white people.
Yeah.
If you want to experience it, just go take a look at Korean Instagram or Chinese Douyin.
Bro, I've seen it, bro. Like, there'll be people who are like damn near AI, artificial intelligence, slim, skinny bodies. They're all very, very white, heavily covered in makeup, and then they act like 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls. It's wild.
The problem is, it's also why people will look at your race and assume how developed you are. It's why East Asian countries like China, South Korea, and Japan look down on people from Southeast Asia.
Is this a freaking pyramid of how skin color versus... Okay, so the darker it gets, the worse. Arabian, Indian, African, Thai, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean. I'm surprised to not see African on the very bottom due to the fact that it's the darkest, but...
China, South Korea, and Japan look down on people from Southeast Asia. It's why K-pop and anime are very popular in some countries in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
But they will look down on neighbors like Myanmar and Laos. It's why India looks down on darker skinned people with prejudice, but fantasizes about lighter skinned people.
Yeah.
To put it simply, centuries of ethnocentrism and class divisions, coupled with sudden radical changes through colonialism, resulted in a different form of racism in Asia, where people believe they are entitled to treat others who are perceived as underdeveloped. It's why if you're white, it's very rare to be on the receiving end of racism here, but more common if you're from Black or Southeast Asian countries.
Yeah.
So the next time you experience racism here in Asia, don't be surprised. It might be a little different from racism back home, but it's definitely here.
Well, that was how racism is different than your average racism. We learned that it's not as casual. It's not just like, oh, you're a dirty little, let me not say no slurs that will get me incriminated. But it's more so deeply embedded into the ideology of the society through caste systems, through ethnocentrism, which is like, oh, believing that you're the number one country, you're the number one people. European/white people coming into Asia long time ago, breaking things up from the inside out, causing generational beef between countries, and then getting out of there. Freaking Asian people to start looking down on darker skin colors, and the darker you are, the worse, and the more you want to be adjacent to white, because white is right. White is the best. But that's what a lot of places think, at least. But that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Join my Discord link in the description. Let me know what you want to check out next. As always, have a great rest of your day. It's love you all. I love you, and I'm out.